Um, so we created this counterintelligence program to identify threats to President Obama. President Clinton started his executive development when he was president, and Obama was an activist. And he learned about the military, about Secret Service, about the FBI, about the CIA, and other government programs, the White House Communications Agency, the Joint Chiefs, all the different programs that he needed to know. Health and Human Services and Social Security, the prison system, the Attorney General, the the other things like the FBI and stuff, the ATF. He understood after we were done and after these different agencies worked on them, he understood what their function was and what the president's role was in running the U.S. government and the military. He understood what he couldn't do in terms of the law, and in many cases in terms of what you're capable of influencing people to do, and when you need to influence someone or when you need to get rid of them and find someone you can influence. And that's sometimes the problem in government. You hear about President Trump being dissatisfied with someone like Jeff Sessions. There's no way to influence him in some respects because there's a measure of independence that the Congress expects, and they get upset if you fire them, they get upset if you don't. They don't like what the Attorney General's doing, but you can get involved sometimes, and you just have to wait your time, and after a sufficient amount of time has elapsed, you're given a little latitude, and you can say, look, I would have got rid of him anyways. It's the end of the midterms. But as far as Obama goes, I wasn't too involved in training him up on everything. They'd come and ask questions, and it'd be considered for input to his development. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to learn how to do it myself, and I wanted to be president, but I don't think I could do that. You know, it's career choices that I made that people never understand the counterintelligence that I did. Some of it was so incendiary, so horrible in some people's minds that they didn't understand it, and they wanted to hurt me. They wanted to arrest me, convict me, put me on medical drugs for psychosis, all kinds of things. We talked about in the military killing drug dealers at PSYOPs. That was something we did to see if people were suitable to go down there and obey their rules of engagement. You know, if they laughed and they wanted to get going downtown to go kill a crack dealer, then that was different. You know, then they had responsibilities. They told the CO, told the counterintelligence, and if they didn't, then we're not going to use them. And we had people in the unit that they could talk to, that they trusted, and that would report things for them. And if they didn't approach them and they approached somebody else who wanted to get it going, then there was a problem. It's the same kind of thing with a presidential program or a presidential development program. We wanted to give somebody a chance, you know. Martin Luther King was shot, and Obama didn't want to get shot. And it was a long-term program. We had to start in the mid-90s and keep going all the way. I mean, he'd had aspirations for much longer, but I wasn't so much involved. They were always coming to me because I had that Navy SEAL background, the protective background. My law enforcement training was with the Secret Service. Other SEAL officers, they got it with other government agencies, ATF. You know, if you were EOD, you probably get it with the ATF. If you were, a kind of counter-narcotics guy doing a bunch of missions in Colombia, you were going to get it probably from the DEA. Secret Service, you get a kind of a round robin of some skills. You get some DEA, so you know how to get good food and water and medicine for protectees. That's where the DEA comes in. It's a security role. It's you're not out there busting drug dealers, but you're figuring out how to buy food, how to buy medicine and water, and that's why you need an MBA or some logistics experience. And there's a lot of counterintelligence in that. Is buying from a lot of different sources. You're testing lots of food on animals, and then testing it on Rangers and Marines. And it's good food that you buy. It's the best, and you selected the best, and then the Rangers and Marine eat the best, and hopefully nobody poisoned it in the process trying to get to the president or the cabinet or the protectees. But after the Rangers and Marines eat, then the cabinet and staff eat, and finally the president eats. It's that kind of just like in the army where they have the troops eat first and the captain eats last. So if there's some poison in the food, the captain knows that the troops are trying to kill me, and he's got a counterintelligence issue. This is the kind of thing that's been around for centuries. It's not something the Marines invented in 1775. The kings and queens did the same thing, and we learned it from them over the years as well. We can credit some of their skills in that respect. And there are other things they do. They use animal testing. Dogs eat our food. And people usually give scraps to the dog. They cut off the fat and a little bit of meat and give it to the dog in the morning. And then they'd cook a stew in the afternoon and eat it for dinner if the dog was still alive. And that would tell them that the meat was good. And you can do that with your dog at home. And if you have paranoid delusions or something, most of you don't have to worry about someone poisoning you. But if you're worried about the food supply and somebody poisoning that, or the grocery store, go ahead, feed scraps to your dog in the morning. If you're an animal lover, you want to eat with your dog, then so be it. But invest in a sensor and you'll figure out something electronically maybe and biochemically. But counterintelligence, big mission. We started in the 90s, and we created a coup plotter program, and we did everything we could to bring people in. We didn't talk about it, but we did things that we aggressed the Secret Service offices and the White House to make it look like that's what we were doing. I was never arrested for it, and that's probably a key clue that you don't send an axe to the White House and not get arrested. That they wanted that kind of to float out there, that the Secret Service was cool with it, and maybe there's an insider there. There's a guy named Wallace up there, and in Alabama, that's kind of a good name to have. And they play coup plotter and counterintelligence up there too. They know what kind of name to pick when they come out and see me. Don't worry about them, piss no rednecks off. And that's kind of how they walk away from that, right? And then we pretend like we're good to go. We turn in our gun and say we're suicidal, right? That's another counterintelligence myth. Is really, in counterintelligence, you're kind of saying, oh, well, this isn't a suitable weapon to kill the nigger. We needed something better, right? So we'll turn this one in and we'll get a better weapon, right? And then change your name to Predrag, because rednecks hate Predrag, but they're Catholic and they don't believe in killing black people and stuff, and you'll be able to infiltrate better. And then change your name to a Jew, Leonard Nathan Stern. That's a good move, because then you can infiltrate even deeper, right? And when you infiltrate deeper, they'll think you're Jewish or something, and they still walk around and say I was Irish and Jewish. I said my family was IRA and all this kind of stuff. That was counterintelligence. I did that at Fort Bragg with the Green Berets, looking for the guy who wanted to join the IRA with me. And, you look for the Irish names and you play on it, and some people's redneck and they hate the Irish, and some people's, pretty Catholic and Irish and they love the Irish and they want to be a part of that. But, anyways, there was, my initials were JEW for a while. This is John Emerson Walsh. And John Walsh is a key clue to what kind of counterintelligence I did. The guy was a famous personality on TV. He assisted law enforcement in apprehending dangerous criminals. And people either hate me or love me for that one. but my initials were JEW, which is definitely counterintelligence as well. That's a Jew, right? And I could play Jew, I could play Irish, but they had that background for all those years in Marin County and Santa Cruz and all those places where I was 666 and the swastikas, and that was the anti-Jew stuff, and that's you're in with the Klan and with the White Knights and all those other people that want to kill the nigger president, right? And you have to talk the talk, but to do counterintelligence, you can't say the wonderful Mr. Barack Obama, President of the United States of America. No, he's going to defile the guy, call him a terrorist like everyone else, call him the Antichrist, whatever they're saying. That's your plan, right? If you're going to be the shooter, though, you're really going to get in there, you're maybe not going to say it like that. You might not swear anymore. You might not, you're going to try to infiltrate, right? And that involves not calling him the Antichrist, not calling him a terrorist, all that kind of thing. And there's good people and bad people who showed up to help, you know. The bad people, they want to push me down the road, make sure I was squared away and ready to pull the trigger. And the good people just want to find who the bad people were that showed up. And they play along too. So you really couldn't tell from 1996 to almost now, you know, 18 and 4, 22 years of that. That's why the 22 is on the thing. It's for valor. At CIA get medals that say for valor, Distinguished Intelligence Cross, the Intelligence Cross. I got a bunch of medals, bag full of them. They show them to you and put them in a vault at CIA. And I earned them, you know. There are people who hit you if you don't sound right out there in the redneck counties and stuff. Say it's safe out here to talk, John. Say whatever you want. This is what I talk. Never talk, because if you talk, you're going to find out. And I used to tell them I got a lot of Secret Service watching me. I can't talk. And they'd all figure out how to play that, right? Because there's the bad guys and the good guys, and the good guys was figuring out how to spin it so the rednecks would go along with it and think that it was still on. I was never going to kill nobody, but they would arrest me a long time ago, because I've reported a lot of stuff to the Ken Cole at the U.S. Department of Justice, Deputy Chief for National Security, U.S. Attorney in Washington, and I reported things to the U.S. Attorney when President Obama was in office, and I reported things to federal judges about the program. Some of it sounded like it wasn't kind of an official statement, and that's true, because you know, when you're a knock, it doesn't sound official. It's non-official cover, and you don't want to sound too official like you work for the government. And some of the things I said just, you know, sound like absurd kind of things from a madman.